There is a ghost in the machine of your life. You can feel it, can't you? It isn't a malicious spirit. It's a child, your child, the child you once were. And for years, maybe decades, it has been locked away in the basement of your psyche while you, the adult, try to live upstairs in a house that never quite feels like home. This child isn't quiet. It rattles the pipes. It flickers the lights. It's the inexplicable sadness that hits you on a sunny day. It's the surge of rage that boils over in traffic. It's the reason you pick the same toxic partner in a different body, the reason you sabotage the promotion at the last minute, the reason you feel a profound, soul-crushing exhaustion when you should feel joy. You've been trying to fix the wiring in the house, rearrange the furniture, and soundproof the walls. You've been trying to solve the problem on the surface. But the truth, the brutally honest truth you've been avoiding, is that the call is coming from inside the house. You are being held hostage by a version of you that was wounded and then abandoned. The world hurt you, and then, to survive, you had to leave that hurt part of you behind. This is not another video that will tell you to just think positive or let go of the past. Those are empty platitudes. You can't let go of something that is still a part of you. You can't just think positive when a fundamental part of your unconscious mind is screaming in pain. The only way out is through. The only way to silence the ghost is to walk down into that basement, open the door, and face the child you left behind. Today, we are not just talking about theory. We are giving you a map, a step-by-step method grounded in the profound, life-altering work of Carl Jung to free yourself from this pain. This is the journey of healing your inner child. It is the process of individuation, of becoming whole. It is difficult. It will demand courage you didn't know you had. But on the other side of this journey is not just the absence of pain, but the presence of a powerful, authentic, and unbreakable self. This is Heal Your Inner Child, the Jungian method to free yourself from pain step by step, and your transformation begins now. Step 1. Confront the warden, acknowledging your persona. Before you can descend into the basement, you must first get past the warden, and that warden is you. It is the version of you that you show to the world. In Jungian psychology, this is called the persona, the mask. It's the good employee, the responsible parent, the strong friend, the easygoing partner. It is the carefully constructed identity you built to be accepted, to be safe, to be loved, to survive in the world. Your persona is not inherently evil. It is a necessary tool for social interaction. But the problem, the source of so much of your pain, begins when you mistake the mask for your actual face. You spend so much energy maintaining this persona that you forget who lives behind it. The warden becomes so convinced of its role that it denies the existence of the prisoner in the basement. Let's be brutally honest. This is why you feel like a fraud. This is why you fear being found out. Because deep down you know the person everyone claps for isn't the real you. The real you has needs, fears, and angers that would shatter the perfect image of the persona. The inner child is crying for attention, but the warden, your persona, says, "Be quiet, you will ruin everything. They will not love us if they see you." And so the inner conflict rages. Consider the story of Marcus. To the outside world, Marcus was the epitome of success. A partner at a prestigious law firm, he commanded boardrooms with an unshakable confidence. His suits were immaculate, his arguments were flawless, his demeanor was perpetually calm and in control. This was his persona, the unflappable leader. But his private life was a wasteland. His relationships never lasted more than a few months. Women would say he was distant, emotionally unavailable, like a fortress. He felt a profound, gnawing emptiness, a loneliness that no amount of professional victory could fill. Marcus's inner child was a little boy who grew up with a demanding, critical father who only ever gave him praise for achievements. Affection was a reward for performance. Love was conditional, so the child learned a devastating lesson. My feelings are a liability. My vulnerability is weakness. I am only valuable when I am perfect in achieving. To survive, he built the persona of the unflappable leader, a man with no needs, no fears, no cracks in the armor. But the child didn't disappear. It was just locked away. That child craved the one thing the persona could never allow: unconditional acceptance. So whenever a partner would try to get close to see behind the mask, the terrified child within Marcus would panic. It would trigger the persona to push them away, to create distance, to sabotage the intimacy it so desperately craved. The warden's job was to protect the child from ever being hurt again, and its method was total isolation. Marcus wasn't broken, he was in a state of civil war. The consequence of ignoring your persona is to live as a hollow shell. You will attract people who fall in love with your mask, not you. And you will live in constant fear of the day they see what's behind it. You will self-sabotage intimacy, success, and happiness because the authentic you, the inner child, feels unworthy of it. The warden will keep you in a safe, sterile, and soul-crushingly lonely prison of your own making. Your first actionable step is this: you must map the territory. Tonight, take a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write the persona. List all the traits you project to the world: strong, funny, capable, easygoing, kind. On the other side, write the suppressed. List the feelings and truths you hide every single day to maintain that persona: fearful, angry, needy, exhausted, sad. Look at the two lists. This is the war. This is the gap between who you pretend to be and who you are. Do not judge it, simply acknowledge it. This is the first crucial step to breaking free. You must see the warden for what it is: a mask you built to protect a child. Now it is time to go and find that child. Step 2. Descend into the basement, the first encounter with your shadow. The basement of your psyche is what Jung called the shadow. It is the repository for everything you have disowned about yourself. It is not a place of pure evil. That is a dangerous misconception. Your shadow contains everything society, your parents, or you yourself deemed unacceptable. Yes, it holds your rage, your envy, your greed, but it also holds your unexpressed creativity, your righteous anger, your untamed power, your deepest vulnerability. The shadow is where your authenticity went to hide. And it is where your inner child is imprisoned. Descending into the shadow means beginning the process of shadow work. It is the act of turning on the light in that dark basement and looking without judgment at what you have hidden there. It is terrifying because you will come face to face with the parts of yourself you have been taught to hate and fear. You will see the monster in the mirror, only to realize the monster is just a wounded, frightened part of you, wearing a scary mask to protect itself. The pain you feel in your life, the anxiety, the depression, the self-sabotage, is often the shadow and the child within it rattling the door, begging to be seen. When you constantly attract toxic people and frenemies, it is often because they live out the qualities that you have suppressed in your own shadow. You despise the manipulator because you have disowned your own capacity for strategic thinking. You hate the loud, attention-seeking person because your own need to be seen was shamed into silence. Your shadow calls out to its own kind. Let's look at Clara. Clara identified as a nice person. She was a people pleaser, a peacemaker, the one who always smoothed things over. She couldn't understand why her life was a revolving door of users, manipulators, and fake friends who would drain her energy and discard her. She felt like a victim, perpetually taken advantage of. Her persona was the kind, selfless giver. When Clara began her descent, she was horrified. In the basement of her mind, she didn't find a sweet, misunderstood girl. She found rage, a white-hot volcanic rage she never knew she was capable of. As a child, she was punished for expressing anger or having strong opinions. She was told good girls are quiet and agreeable. So she took her anger, her assertiveness, her power to say no, and she locked it all in the shadow. Her inner child learned that its survival depended on being nice. But this suppressed anger didn't vanish, it festered. By disowning her own capacity for aggression and boundary setting, she became completely defenseless against it in others. She was a walking target for toxic people because she had no internal radar for manipulation, no inner warrior to say this far and no further. The rage in her shadow was not a monster. It was a guard dog she had locked up, leaving the house unprotected. The child wasn't just sad, it was furious at being abandoned and left defenseless. The consequence of leaving your shadow unexplored is a life lived by proxy. You will remain a magnet for the very things you claim to hate. You will project your disowned traits onto others, leading to bitter and judgmental relationships. You will feel powerless because you have locked away half of your own strength. Your life will feel like a movie where you are not the main character, because the most dynamic parts of your personality are off-screen, locked in the dark. Your actionable step for this descent is active imagination. This is a core Jungian technique. Find a quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Close your eyes. Visualize a door leading down to the basement of your mind. Open it and walk down the stairs. Don't force anything. Just observe what you see, what you feel. Is it dark, cold? Is there a figure there, an emotion, a memory? Your goal is not to fight or fix anything. Your goal is simply to witness. Perhaps you feel a knot of anxiety. Instead of pushing it away, ask it, what are you? What do you want me to know? Perhaps you see a cowering, small version of yourself. Don't rush to comfort it. Just sit with it. Be present with it. This is not a one-time fix. This is starting a dialogue. You are reintroducing yourself to the lost parts of your soul. You are showing the child that you are no longer afraid to look. Step 3. Listen to the screams, deciphering the child's language. The wounded inner child does not speak in clear, logical sentences. It has been silenced for too long. It communicates in the only ways it knows how, through raw emotion, compulsive behaviors, irrational fears, and even physical pain. Your self-sabotage is not a character flaw, it's a coded message. Your chronic anxiety is not a chemical imbalance, it's a distress signal. Your feeling of being stuck is not laziness, it's the child pulling the emergency brake, terrified of moving forward. Your job in this step is to become a translator. You must learn to stop judging these symptoms as problems to be eliminated and start seeing them as communications to be deciphered. When you feel a sudden wave of unexplainable sadness, instead of numbing it with distraction, you must ask, "Child, what memory is this connected to?" When you find yourself procrastinating on something vital to your future, instead of berating yourself for being lazy, you must ask, "Child, what are you afraid will happen if we succeed?" This is the ultimate act of self-compassion. It is looking at your most unacceptable behaviors and realizing they are misguided attempts by a part of you to keep you safe, based on old, outdated programming from childhood. The child is still operating on the rules of a world that no longer exists. Think of David, a brilliant graphic designer who dreamed of starting his own studio. Yet for years he was stuck. He would get a huge, exciting project, work on it furiously, and then right before the finish line he would lose all motivation. He'd miss the deadline, deliver a subpar product, and retreat back into his low-paying, soul-crushing day job. He hated himself for it. He called himself a failure, a procrastinator, lazy. His persona was that of a tortured artist, but in reality, he was just tortured. Through this work, David began to listen. He noticed the pattern. The self-sabotage wasn't random, it was precise. It always happened right at the precipice of major success. So he asked the question, what is the fear here? He sat with the awful, gut-wrenching feeling of resistance and he listened. A whisper emerged, a memory. His father, a musician who never made it, was often bitter and resentful. When David, as a boy, won a school art contest, his father had barely acknowledged it, muttering something about getting your hopes up. The message the child, David, received was terrifyingly clear. Your success is a threat to the love you need. Your light makes others feel their own darkness. To be loved, to be safe, you must remain small. His procrastination wasn't laziness. It was a profound act of love and loyalty to his father, a desperate attempt to maintain a connection by not outshining him. His self-sabotage was his inner child screaming, "Don't leave me. If you become successful, you will be all alone." The consequence of not learning the child's language is to remain its prisoner. You will be forever battling against your own self-sabotaging behaviors without ever understanding their root cause. You will stay stuck in cycles of failure and frustration, your willpower constantly defeated by a much more powerful, unconscious force. You will mistake a cry for help for a character defect and hate yourself for it. Your actionable step is to start a journal of triggers. Get a notebook and dedicate it to this. Every time you feel a disproportionately strong emotion, a surge of anger, a wave of panic, a pit of despair, or every time you catch yourself in an act of self-sabotage, document it. Write down. What was the situation? The trigger. What was the immediate feeling or behavior? The signal. Where do I feel this in my body? The physical echo. If this feeling had a voice, what would it be screaming? The translation. Do not analyze, do not fix, just translate. My boss praised my work and I immediately felt dread and wanted to disappear. My stomach is in knots, the voice is screaming, now they'll expect more, you're going to fail and disappoint everyone. You are building a Rosetta Stone for your own soul. You are learning to hear the child's screams not as noise, but as a desperate, loving message. Step 4. Become the parent, integrating the anima and animus. Once you have found the child and begun to understand its language, you cannot simply leave it there. Acknowledging the child is not enough. You must rescue it, and you cannot wait for someone else to come and do it for you. Your partner, your friends, your therapist, they cannot be the parent you never had. The responsibility is yours alone. This is the stage of active reparenting. In Jungian terms, this involves integrating your anima, for men, the inner feminine principle of nurturing, relatedness, and compassion, and your animus, for women, the inner masculine principle of logic, structure, courage, and assertiveness. In simpler, brutal terms, you must become both the fiercely protective father and the unconditionally loving mother to your own inner child. The wounded child needs two things it likely didn't get enough of: safety and love. The protective parent, your integrated animus masculine energy, provides safety. This is the part of you that sets firm boundaries. It says no to the user. It walks away from the toxic relationship. It defends your right to rest and to have your needs met. It is the inner warrior that stands up to your inner critic and says, "You will not speak to this child that way." The nurturing parent, your integrated anima feminine energy, provides unconditional love. This is the part of you that offers compassion when you make a mistake. It soothes the child when it is scared. It validates the child's feelings, saying, "It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. I am here with you. I am not going anywhere." It celebrates the child's joy and encourages its playfulness. Let's return to Clara, the nice person who discovered her suppressed rage. Just knowing about her anger wasn't enough. It could have consumed her. She had to learn to use it. This was the integration of her animus. She had to become her own protective father. The story of her transformation was crystallized in a single moment. A frenemy, Melissa, who was notorious for her backhanded compliments and passive-aggressive manipulations, called Clara. Melissa started a long, draining monologue about her own problems, then ended with, "Anyway, I need you to cover my shift on Saturday. I know you don't have plans, you never do." In the past, Clara's inner child would have panicked, fearing rejection if she said no. Her nice persona would have agreed instantly, only to feel resentful and drained for days. But this time was different. Clara felt the familiar knot of anxiety, the child's fear, but instead of letting it drive, she activated the new parent. She pictured herself standing between Melissa on the phone and the small, scared version of herself. She took a breath and with a calm, firm voice she barely recognized, she said, "I'm sorry you're having a hard time, but I won't be able to cover your shift. My weekend is for me to rest." Melissa was stunned into silence, then tried to guilt her. But Clara, channeling that protective animus energy, simply said, "My decision isn't up for discussion. I hope you find someone." And she hung up. In that moment, she wasn't being mean. She was being a good parent. She was teaching her inner child, "I will protect you. I will not let others drain your energy. Your needs matter." That single act of boundary setting was more healing than 1,000 therapy sessions, because it was a real, tangible act of self-love and self-protection. The consequence of failing to reparent yourself is to remain a child in an adult's body, forever seeking a mommy or daddy in your romantic partners, your bosses, or your friends. You will outsource your sense of safety and self-worth, making you incredibly vulnerable to manipulation and heartbreak. You will be a ship without a rudder and without an anchor, tossed about by the emotional storms of others. Your actionable step is to create a daily practice of reparenting. In the morning, as the protective parent, ask your inner child, "What do you need to feel safe today? What is one boundary I can set to protect our energy?" Maybe it's not checking your work email after 6 p.m. Maybe it's saying no to a social event that you know will drain you. At night, as the nurturing parent, check in with the child. How are you feeling? What was hard today? If you made a mistake, offer yourself compassion instead of criticism. It's okay. You did the best you could with what you had. We learned something. We are still loved. This isn't about affirmations. This is an active internal dialogue where you consciously provide the safety and love that you have been desperately seeking from the outside world. Step 5. Walk the path of individuation, ascending to wholeness. The final step is not a destination, but a lifelong path. This is what Jung called individuation. It is the process of becoming an individual, an undivided whole being. It is the ultimate goal of this entire journey. Individuation does not mean you become cured or perfect. It does not mean you will never feel pain, fear, or anger again. That is a childish fantasy. Wholeness means you no longer live in a state of civil war. The persona, the shadow, the anima animus, and the inner child are no longer fighting for control. They are integrated. They are in communication. The warden, the prisoner, the protector, and the nurturer are all sitting at the same table, working together under the guidance of your authentic self. The ghost is no longer a ghost. It is an acknowledged part of your history. The child is no longer locked in the basement. It is free to play in the living room. You can wear your persona at work, knowing it is a tool, and then take it off at home without fear. You can access the power and assertiveness of your shadow without being consumed by it. You can parent yourself with both strength and compassion. This is true freedom. It is the freedom from the compulsion to be anyone other than who you truly are. It is the ability to hold the complexities of your own nature, your light and your dark, your strength and your vulnerability, with a quiet, unshakable acceptance. You stop self-sabotaging because the child within you finally feels safe enough to succeed. You stop attracting toxic people because your integrated self is a fortress they cannot penetrate. You stop feeling stuck because all parts of you are finally moving in the same direction. Let's revisit Marcus, the unflappable leader. His path of individuation was not about destroying his successful persona. It was about integrating the child it was built to protect. He didn't quit law, but he restructured his role. He started mentoring young associates, accessing his nurturing side. He took up pottery, something he loved as a boy, allowing his inner child to play without a goal or a metric for success. The real shift came in his relationships. On a date, when a woman asked him what he was afraid of, the old Marcus would have deflected with a joke. The new integrated Marcus paused. He accessed the child's fear, but he spoke with the adult's voice. Honestly, he said, I'm afraid of letting someone down. It's something I've carried for a long time. He was vulnerable, but not weak. He was sharing a part of his authentic self, not collapsing into a pile of need. For the first time, he felt a connection that wasn't based on performance. He was being seen, all of him, and he wasn't rejected. He was home. The path of individuation is a quiet revolution. It is the end of the war against yourself. The outcome is not a life without problems, but a life where you have the inner resources to meet those problems with wholeness and integrity. You become your own source of validation, your own protector, your own home. Your final actionable step is a commitment to the journey. This is not a checklist to be completed. It is a new way of living. Your commitment is this: every day you will choose to listen to yourself over the noise of the world. You will choose authenticity over approval. You will choose compassion over self-criticism. You will choose courage over comfort. This is the Jungian method. It is not easy. It is not quick. It is the great work of a lifetime. You have acknowledged the mask. You have dared to enter the basement. You have learned to translate the screams. You have started to become the parent you always needed. Now you just have to keep walking. The pain you feel is not a life sentence. It is a summons, a call to adventure, a call to come home to yourself. The different parts of you are not waiting to be conquered, they are waiting to be met. The lost child is not waiting to be fixed. It is waiting to be found, to be heard, and to be loved by the one person who can truly do it. You. The door to the basement is right in front of you. You have the map, you have the key. The only question left is whether you have the courage to turn it and walk down the stairs. The fear of what you might find is immense, but the pain of staying the same, of living as a ghost in your own life, must finally become greater than the fear of the unknown. Your real life, your whole life, is on the other side of that door. Go, begin.